The meeting of the Dudley-Charlton Regional School Committee is now in session. It is Tuesday, April 10th, 7 p.m. We're at the Shepherd Hill Regional High School in Dudley, and we'll all stand for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of our regular meeting of Wednesday, March 28th.
Second.
Discussion?
I just have
Catherine?
one correction on page 2 for the school bus bid. I think we voted the wrong number, because if you take 1,500 from that, it should be 83,777.
83,777.
But we did vote for the 727, so we better change it either here or in the minute, in the meeting. We
We'll amend the minutes and we'll put the right amount.
Well, see, that's the problem, because we actually did vote that number, so I don't think we can amend the minutes. I think we have to re-vote and open in the meeting. You can't amend the minutes, because you can't change what happened. You know,
If the vote was actually 83,727, then no, you do need to revote at some point.
so I
Okay,
think
so
put it on the
we'll
agenda somewhere.
yeah.
So it's right, but it's
Right
wrong.
after we approve the minutes, we'll do that, okay?
All right.
Anything else? Seeing none, all in favor? Hi, Mary. Motion carries. Mary, you're gonna vote for it. You were here. The minutes.
Get comfortable.
It's unanimous. Okay, Catherine, you can make that.
I'd like to make a motion that we, should I say make the whole thing over? We're gonna just correct the number.
No, I,
Make a
read
motion
them.
to award the bid for the bus company for $83,777.
Instead of
In a
what
correction of
we,
$83,727.
Second.
discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries. It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Citizens Forum. This evening, do we have any citizens that would like to come forward? Come right up. State your name and where you're from. You can sit, have a seat.
Hello, my name is Lisa Tinsley. I'm a parent of 2 children at Charlton Middle School.
Julie Richard, I'm also a parent of a child at Charlton Middle School.
Okay. You're all set.
Okay, so first, I would like to ask Mr. Packer to please stand up, turn his chair, and face the wall, and in about an hour, I'll get back to you and see if you're able to
Wait a
read or
minute.
pay attention.
Wait, we don't do this.
There's only certain things you can do.
You
in
can do
citizens.
I am calling attention to something that happened to our children in the school system.
Okay, but it can't.
Okay,
involve-
but
it
you
involve
can't-
other-
So this is what
Staff
happened
members.
to our children who opted out of MCAS last week. Our children waited to face walls and sit for an hour to do nothing at Mr. Packard's directions to his teachers. This was an abuse of his powers, and it was abusive and humiliating to our children. There's a letter from the commissioner's office that
First
states...
of all, I think, wait a minute.
Contact
First of
Amy
all,
first.
wait. I will handle it. First of all, if you have a problem, you have to go through channels before
We
you
have.
come to us. Did you go,
Yes,
We
I've
did.
spoken to both parents, and the issue has been addressed.
It has not
Okay.
been
It has not
addressed.
been
It
addressed.
has not been addressed.
I'm not certain how you're aware of that.
Well, if
If
you
you
let
allow us
me...
to
addressed it.
read what we have, we could.
Citizens Forum is not a time to complain about particular staff members.
right,
I'm
and-
I'm complaining about the system as a whole.
okay. First of all, maybe we can start again and you can have another meeting with them
I'll be happy
before
to.
they come back, because this is not a place to address something like this.
I can help you understand what the rules of this are, and there's no way you could have understood that coming in, but if we can get together, we can talk about it again, and I can help you understand how to get your complaints to this level without violating anything.
I don't think you will. You have not helped us at all.
I
We've
don't
sent
think- I don't think that
emails.
you're aware of that.
We have sent emails.
Not everything I do is going to require, am I going to go back publicly and say exactly the way that I handled it? We did address the issue. I did talk with Mr. Packard. The
This
issue
is
has
about the
been addressed.
students. It has not been addressed with our children.
Well, if there's more to what we talked about, if there's more to it than that, we need to discuss
No,
that
I mean-
at
Okay,
a different time.
I'm going to cut this short, okay? You'll have to go back to Mr. Desto. That's the place to do it if you went through the right channels. This is not the place to address,
That's fine.
okay? And that's it.
I will call you tomorrow morning and we'll set a time to meet.
And I will be calling Fox 25 News.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Okay, let's go on. Okay, something on a lighter note. Are there anybody else that would like to come forward? Okay, we're going to do school spotlight, and it's Dudley Elementary School. So maybe
go get them.
Stephanie or Greg.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't grab them. I'm like,
They're out there all dressed up.
I'm like, I'm not. Yeah, me too.
Stay right there. And here, in the middle. And Amelia, can you come over here?
Well, we kind of are doing a twofer here, because I know how much you guys like our pop bottle projects. So Olivia was coming anyways, and her project is just amazing, so I thought that we'd share it with you. I'm telling you, these pop bottle projects are taking on a life of their own, and each year they just get bigger and bigger and better and better. So, all right, Olivia, yep, you can talk to everybody. This is Olivia Whitehurst.
Amelia Earhart was born on July 24th, 1827 in Kansas. She was the most famous aviatrix ever. She was a very active person. She one time made her own roller coaster from boards, spools, and a scooter. Amelia dropped out of several different schools, but she is very intelligent. She even had her own fashion line. She was famous for being the first woman to fly across the Atlantic Ocean. She was trying to be the first woman to fly around the world. Her plane went down over the Atlantic. She died with someone named Fred Newman.
So that was her pop bottle project. But the other reason that we're also here is I just wanted to present a new program that we have that we started towards the end of last year, and that has really grown. And we had the Big Brothers Big Sisters program coming right into our school. So this is Callie Leach, and she's been working with us very closely to help us set up our bigs and our littles. You'll hear them call themselves bigs and littles, and that's what they call each other. And they come to the school, and they come to the school, sometimes they do things outside of the school. I know that Mr. Packard's daughter, Brooke, is a big for one of our students that we had last year that moved over to the middle school. Started out that last year we were just kind of doing the interview process and trying to match the bigs with the littles, and this year it's really grown. We have 8 children that have bigs coming to the school. Some of them meet at lunchtime, right, Berlin? Some meet at lunchtime, some meet after school and play. They use the gym, they can use games, they help them do homework. And then some are doing things outside of the school too that you'll hear as well. So I've got Olivia and William, they're brother and sister, and they both have a big brother and a big sister, and this is Berlin, and she's got a big sister. So they're gonna tell you about their bigs, and these are their own words, they're great.
Good evening. My name is Olivia Whitehurst. My big's name is Molly. I like having a big because she doesn't judge me for what I do or judge me as a person. Molly is a very nice person. She is very kind and patient. She is very artistic and she brings me crafts to do. For example, we made a Big Brother, Big Sister ornament. She is very funny and she tries her best to make me feel better when I don't feel well.
And Molly is here. Molly. And at the end, I'm going to let Callie talk a little bit, but I fear I let them do their performance.
Hi, my name is Berlin. My big is named Alyssa. Having a big is fun. We laugh together and play games together. My big and I do pillow fights, and she gets me hot chocolate. I eat with her and talk with her. I have a lot of fun with my big. James is here. He's going to help you.
Ready? All right. Loud and proud.
My name is William. James is my big brother. James is great because he draws with me and we talk. I got to go to his school to see where he lives.
So my name is Callie Leach. I'm the match support specialist for Southern Worcester County. So our program, the bigger program, is the Worcester Area College Mentors Program. So mostly there's a lot of colleges in Worcester that we work with, but we also work with Nichols College, with our bigs from Nichols. And we just work matching them with students at either the elementary schools. We also have a partnership with the middle school, Dudley Middle School over there. Also the Tri-Community YMCA, and then the Webster Dudley Boys and Girls Club. So those are the 4 sites we've been working up with so far, and we just work with matching the students with their littles, and they meet an hour once a week, and it's just some one-on-one time. They do homework, they do games, they go to the gym, get outside if they can, that kind of thing. And a lot of times that we just hear with our program, from the bigs especially, is that the bigs get a lot more out of it than the littles in the end. They feel like they're really benefiting more. James can attest to that. And that's just something we love hearing. And also the kids love it. You heard from them. They really get a lot out of it as well. And it's been great working with them and getting to match them. I think we've been really lucky that we've had some really dynamic matches.
Awesome.
Yeah, with very similar interests, very similar personalities, just right off the bat hitting it off kind of thing. So it's been great so far.
It's so interesting. It's just to watch the kids as soon as their big walks through the door. The smiles that they have are just from ear to ear, and they're so proud, especially when the other kids are still there at school. Everybody wants a big. Everybody wants a big. So the more we can get, the merrier. We love that. We love having them. Do you guys want to say anything, James?
Yeah, sure.
All right, go for it.
So I'm James Singletary. I'm a Nichols College student. So I was actually, I don't know if anybody else knows this, but I was a little myself. I was about 7 years old. It was just me and my mom. And she found the need for it, and they hooked me right up with my big brother David, and I can honestly attest to how important it is to have a mentor in your life, especially when you really don't have one. And it just gives you a companion, it gives you someone who you can trust and is always going to come around and always have your back. And obviously, he's got my back. So yeah, we do a lot of different things. Usually we're drawing, singing. Sometimes we play in the gym. We go outside and just do guy things, really. Other than that, yeah.
So I'm Molly Scholars. I'm a freshman. I'm at Nichols College as well. And so I wanted to be involved in Big Brother, Big Sister because I always wanted a little sister. I only have a brother. And it definitely helped me. I think I get more out of it sometimes than Olivia. That is definitely true. And this is a bond I think that we'll always have, and it's just definitely heartwarming, and I love every moment of it.
Oh, wait a minute. They might have some questions for you.
Any questions, anybody?
Amy? You all set?
No questions, but I would like to say something about how difficult it is to speak in public. And I say this a lot, and everybody who comes to these meetings is probably tired of hearing it, but it's different kids, so I'm going to say it again. I've been doing this 20 years, and it's still hard for me to speak in public, and you guys are just so brave to come up here and do what you did, and we really appreciate it. We're very proud of you, okay? Great job. We really appreciate it. parents, thank you for coming out on a Tuesday night, especially Red Sox Yankees Tuesday night. We appreciate you coming out.
That was good. That was a great program.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And that brings us up to communications, Mr. Desto.
None tonight, Mrs. O'Coin.
Okay, how about our members? Any communications? Elaine?
So just a couple of things that I wanted to point out. One is that on the 7th, there was an op-ed piece from Auditor Bump that was in Commonwealth Magazine, once again reinforcing the support for regional schools and how we have not been funded properly over the years. Following in line with, I did attend the Mars Legislative Breakfast on Friday up at Neshoba. It was the greatest turnout of legislators I've seen, except for Day on the Hill. And I think it's indicative of the fact that they feel pretty good that tax revenues have been coming in better than they've expected. So there's a little bit more hope for the budget process continuing. And I do have some information about education legislation that I'm going to ask Sandy to disseminate because it's a multiple page document. But the final thing that I wanted to bring everyone's attention to is the citizen advocacy piece that has taken root to support regional school districts. And there's a Facebook page and a Twitter account for Support Mass Regional Schools, Support MA Regional Schools. And they have been working on trying to ask citizens and educators related to education individuals to support the initiatives that they're focused on, which is fully funding regional school district transportation and the establishment of a commission to study regional budgets. With the House budget being released tomorrow, they are asking for people to follow them on Facebook or one of those mediums to be up to date with information so that you can then contact your legislators. So when they took all of the education bills, they rolled them all together. The issue of the Commission to Study Regional School District Budgets did not make it, and we have promises from several legislators, and specifically Senator Bruce Tarr, and I know Senator Goby and Representative Ferguson for the Regional Caucus, to add that as an amendment item, and it's going to be important for people to contact their legislators for support of that issue. So I did want to bring it to people's attention. If you are not currently affiliated or aware of those two methods, that is our best, it is our best area to focus on in order to help support future funding issues for our district as well as regional districts across the state. And I know for our taxpayers that would like relief to come in another method other than their personal taxes, that is something that we can share the word on. That would be great.
Thank you, Elaine. Any other communication? No. Okay. Superintendent's report, Mr. Desto.
Thank you, Mrs. O'Coin. Just a few things tonight. I'll be briefer than usual, you'll be glad to know. Beginning with just a wrap-up, and I don't know, Mrs. Kabala, Mrs. Rabbit, and Mr. Matthew may want to chime in, may not, because you were there with me, but we had a meeting at the Dudley Town Hall last Thursday with Ben Tafoya from the State Auditor's Office, and basically we, I won't say that it was a watershed meeting where we had a tremendous amount of optimism going forward, but we did learn a couple of important facts that I had not known previous related to regional schools that I thought I would share tonight. And if anybody is not aware, the Auditor's Office is doing some really good work in trying to advocate, essentially to advocate for regional school funding, so we do appreciate their work. First of all, the first one was I hadn't known, I think I got this right, but please correct me if I'm wrong. 10% regional schools in Massachusetts contain 10% of the students in the state, but only get 1% of the funding. So that's an interesting fact. Obviously, their work is really necessary when you hear that. And the biggest one I wanted to reference, and maybe one of the other folks who was there with me could do a better job of explaining this, but in any regional district, there's not an exactly equal number of dollars that goes per student. So let's say you had the Boston-Worcester Regional School District, and Boston is wealthier than Worcester. Families in the town of Boston is going to pay a little bit more per student based on a wealth factor, based on property values, based on a whole bunch of stuff. So Dudley and Charlton, it's no secret, we have had, there is a slight difference in how much one pays versus the other. However, Ben Tafoya told us that the difference between Dudley and Charlton in that number is closer than it is in any other regional district in the state between their towns. Does that make sense? Did I explain that properly? So we thought that was kind of cool, that, you know, Dudley and Charlton are really look to be, as far as regional districts statewide go, a good pair, because they're very, very close compared to all the others. So they're not exact, but they're close. I thought that was interesting as well. I don't know if anyone else wants to comment, or if you're good.
That was a good
I'm
explanation.
happy to leave that explanation.
All right, thank you. A couple other things. I first want to comment on what was also last Thursday. It was a big day. We had Women in STEM Night, along with the Science and Engineering Fair and STEM Expo here at Shepherd Hill. It was at 6 o'clock, and I just want to say I thought it was just awesome. It was one of the best hours or so, most uplifting that I've spent all year. The students were incredible. Their projects were fantastic. The pride and the passion that they had, they wouldn't let you walk by without pulling you in and saying, hey, even one kid, when I got done hearing his spiel about his project, which was a solar-powered surfboard it was actually a solar-powered shark repellent that attaches to a surfboard. He said, well, wait, Mr. Dester, you haven't seen the materials list yet. And he really wanted to take me through the whole thing. And then one of the things on the materials list was my mom's credit card to Amazon.com. So he's just being honest. But I thought that was great. But all the kids that I talked to were knowledgeable, excited. Again, I said this last year, I'll say it again. I think that it's proof that that kind of learning is really what turns kids on, that type of exploration of a topic that's interesting to them. And we just get out of their way at that point, and they do the learning. But there were several demonstrations from the robotics team and others, and the women who are in STEM careers that gave up their time to come and talk to some of our students. We really appreciate that. You know, Karen Aris did the lion's share of the work in planning this. She did have some help, but grateful to her and to all those who helped her. And it was really a great night. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned that and how proud I was. Couple things that are upcoming. First is that tomorrow night, as we know because we're here tonight, is the District Show Choir Festival, and that'll begin at 6:30 here at Shepherd Hill. That is a showcase of probably the best high school in New England and the best 2 middle schools. So it's really something to see. We look forward to that.
Now, is there a show this evening?
There is also a show this evening. It is a band concert with the 8th grade band as well.
Okay.
From both schools are playing with the Shepherd Hill Band. We did the right thing to move the meeting because the crowd tomorrow night is going to be
Oh, right.
overwhelming.
No,
A
I
good
just-
crowd tonight, but it's going to be
I
overwhelming
just
tomorrow.
happened to see cars, and I said, there's
Yeah.
something going on.
All right, so then just a few other things. I want to make a mention, and you'll be seeing a lot of this on the website and on Twitter in the near future, on Facebook. We have a Wellness Works Family Fun Fair and 5K coming up. For me, the 5K is not fun, but some of the other things I'm sure will be. So that's April 28th. It's actually a Saturday from 9 a.m. to noon, and we're trying a different format this time. There's a flyer that you'll be seeing on a website and on social media in the near future, so we do have a few weeks before that, but that's something we're going to be pushing, and we'd like to get as many people there as we possibly can, because it's all about advocating and pushing for health in the community, mental and physical and emotional health. And finally, we have a date. I don't think I've mentioned this yet. The District Art Show will be Friday, May 4th, as always, from 5 to 8 here at Shepherd Hill. A lot of our art teachers doing some really good work, and our students to prepare for that. Again, that's Friday, May 4th, 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock. And that is all I have tonight, Mrs. O'Cloyne.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That brings us to new business, FY 2019 budget and finance subcommittee report, and that's Mr. Desto first.
Thank you. So I'll begin with just a comment, and then the subcommittee just met before this meeting, had a great discussion, and I'll let Mrs. Reed, who's the chair of that subcommittee, comment on that. I think I speak on behalf of everybody here when I say a very, very large public thank you to our citizens for coming out and supporting the schools and town services in the April 3rd special election. The last time we were at this table, it was the last time I was saying that what the date is and the times, and it seems like a long time ago, but we're very grateful, and I know everybody feels the same way, for the support of our citizens. We're also grateful for the town leaders and all those who had a hand in this, and personally, I want to thank you, the school committee, for your leadership on this as well. You don't get nearly enough credit, but you made a lot of tough decisions leading up to this point, and you are to be commended as well. But mostly, I just want to say that I'm happy for the students, because they'll be long-term beneficiaries of this successful initiative. And yes, I have a 10-year-old in the district, but I have a lot of kids in the district that I care an awfully lot about, and when I see them now, I'm just happy that they're going to have opportunities that they otherwise wouldn't have had. So that's my spiel on that, from the heart.
I want to add again that, Mr. Desto, you set the tone for the whole override because of your insistence on repeating and meetings. I think you deserve a lot of praise too, and I want to clap you for your work.
Oh,
You
thank
really
you.
deserve it. Because it started from the top, and we just did what we could, but you were the one that was out there for the face of the override.
Thank
And
you.
I want to
I
thank you for
appreciate you
that.
saying that. And then we also had a good subcommittee meeting tonight, and so these things are all interrelated at this point, but there's some progress now as a result of that election. So, Mrs. Reed, if it's okay with you, Mrs. O'Coin. I took a little of your thunder.
It's okay. We did have a great discussion tonight, and again, I would like to reiterate that we want to thank both towns for their support on this override, because it is huge. We talked about the adjustment counselors and the technology teachers that we said that we would be getting in the elementary level. And we also discussed the bids for the wiring of the schools. And then I'll throw it back to you for that.
Okay, thank you. So there's not a whole lot there, but everybody probably who's in this room probably remembers that throughout the course of the past, I don't know how many months, we've been talking about our plan for what will we do if the override passes. And one of the big things is that we need to upgrade our infrastructure for technology. And so that was roughly $1 million number as part of this. And the bids for what we had planned for was the wiring of our K-8 buildings. So 6 of our schools would receive upgraded wiring and infrastructure for internet use at the buildings. And the bid came back low enough that we'll be able to do a little bit more than that, actually. We may be able to do Shepherd Hill as well. That's something that still remains to be decided by the school committee, but again, another piece of optimism fell from the sky as the bids came in inexplicably, because we used estimates from a year ago, E-rate estimates from a year ago, so you might assume they would be even higher this time around, and they came back low enough that we might be able to do a little bit more with our technology infrastructure, so we think people are going to be happy to hear that, and at our next meeting, we'll talk about that in more detail. I guess that's it that's all we had time for tonight, pretty much.
Thank you. Thank you. And that brings us up to the Director of Finance and Operations report, Mr. Matthew.
Thank you very much. A couple of items for the committee this evening. First, acceptance of donations. The Charlton Middle School received a donation of $5,000, ideally to be used to improve the STEM classroom experience from the Ramsey family in Charlton. Additionally, the Charlton Elementary School received a donation of $5,018 through fundraising efforts for its Butter Braid fundraiser.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept or approve the donations.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries, it's unanimous.
Thank you very much. As Mr. Desto and Mrs. Reed discussed the FY19 budget, obviously very good news and very thankful news for everybody, and we will bring forward not only the infrastructure plan at the next meeting, but also the expected changes in the health insurance budget as well. So we'll bring that to not the May 9th meeting, but instead the April 25th meeting. The net metering credits agreement. We do have the final proposal from Seaboard Solar on the proposed project. Legal counsel will review this. I do not have their opinion back yet. The agreement that Seaboard Solar did send us has been approved by the same legal counsel for other communities, so I don't see an issue with it. But we want to make sure that it's right for us as well. Given that, and given that the fact that the company itself is under time constraints in finalizing their end of the project, I'm not sure how school committee wants to proceed at this point. I expect to have legal counsel's review completed hopefully by the end of this week, if not for the beginning part of next week. I'm not sure that Seaboard Solar can save our slot until the April 25th meeting.
But I think we should have the legal opinion before we say yes.
I agree. So we could do one of two things. We could wait for legal counsel to come back and then do it at the April 25th meeting, or school committee can authorize me to act on their behalf if the agreement comes back as approved by legal counsel. Either way the committee wants. And again, if we miss this opportunity with Seaboard, we'll certainly, actively pursue another one, because I think now's a good time
Well, I'd
to.
like to give a motion that we give the authority to Mr. Matthew to enter an agreement, provided it passes all the legal standards.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries, it's unanimous.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll certainly keep you updated on that. Just a note about the French River Education Center bid schedule. It was attached. The district has participated in these bids historically, and unless there's a reason to not continue with that, that will be the plan to go forward. I mentioned the health insurance rates at the Insurance Advisory Committee meeting on March 27th. We did meet, and based on the recommendation of Group Benefit Strategies, the IAC voted to recommend to the committee a 1% rate increase for next year. That will provide a level of budget savings, and the Budget and Finance Subcommittee discussed how to reallocate those dollars within the budget next going forward, and we'll bring that information to the next meeting. I would ask that school committee approve the rate increase of 1%. It's interesting. When I started, the health insurance trust was in the hole, and by simply making the change to one provider, Blue Cross Blue Shield, we've been able to really, put money back into the health insurance trust fund, as well as keep rates low, which benefits not only the employees but the district budget as well.
And that's a great improvement, because we were always, it was always a higher percentage that we had to go up every year. It's 1%. We're doing well then with
knock on
trust
wood.
fund.
What's the balance in there right now?
I would say that I expect the balance to be at the end of the year south of 800,000. I mean, I'm sorry, north of 800,000. Wrong direction.
Other direction.
Big difference.
Yeah, there's a pretty big gap there, but I think.
It's like that line you used in algebra, 800,000, and then that line that says it's just above that somewhere, but it's close to that.
Yeah.
And what did you put in for the rates originally? Was it
The budget right now has a 4% increase in it, so this would result in about 170,000 worth of savings that can be allocated towards perhaps other areas in the budget.
So you need a motion to approve the 1%.
The rates.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the 1% recommended by Mr. Matthew.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries, it's unanimous.
Mrs. O'Quinn, may I make a comment on that?
Go ahead.
I can remember, I don't know if Mr. Foley is here.
He is.
If he is, I don't want to embarrass you either, Mr. Foley, but I can remember my first year literally losing sleep, because I remember thinking health insurance is worse than gambling. It's like the worst. And remember how, and so I just want to say, not just Mr. Foley, but certainly our DCTA membership, under his leadership, the Insurance Advisory Council, the people who serve on that, which includes several people throughout the district and retirees, and Rich, of course. and Mary Ellen Sorbonne, they've just done a really great job. And this school committee's done a really great job of balancing what we have to do financially with what with trying to consider the employees as well. So, you know, as Rich said, I think you said knock on wood or cross fingers, you just never know. And we definitely have to always be working it, but it's really, we've come a long way due to a lot of people, and it deserves public thanks.
And not only do we save, the staff is saving 3%
Exactly.
too, which is a big thing.
Exactly, yes. And they, you know, there was some sacrifices made in the
Yeah,
past
sure.
few years, and I appreciate that.
And Rich, have you been looking into joining other groups?
Yeah, I was just going to continue on here. GBS is looking to explore putting together a joint purchase group in the Central Mass area. I think our Insurance Advisory Committee has been kind of pushing them along that path. But now's the time, I think, to act for them to go out and speak with other towns and specifically regional school districts as well, especially if we want to look into it. So it's something that I would recommend that we explore, but if the committee is opposed to that, then I'll certainly take our name off. But I don't think putting our toes in the water would be any harm to the district at all at this point in
I don't think
time.
there's any harm in that, looking into it.
Okay, great.
You want a motion?
I'm sorry?
You want a motion, so you have the authority, or do you need it?
I'm not going to be making any commitments. All we're going to be doing is listening at this point in time. I may volunteer this room for a meeting. That's about it.
I guess everyone is in agreement.
And just a couple of pieces of news. Obviously, money is pouring into Boston because the legislature is looking to correct some of the ills of the FY18 budget. And just a note about circuit breaker, it's passed the House Ways and Means, but we could potentially be looking at another $74,000 or so of circuit breaker reimbursement for the current year, if that number were to pass. The state is hoping to get to 72% reimbursement, and that's what that number would represent. That's very good news, especially given the sped deficits that we've had this year, and that will help to get our E&D back up or to offset next year's expenses, depending on how it's utilized and when it's actually known and confirmed. And
Sorry, through you, Mrs. O'Coin, might I just add the importance of the word potential in Mr. Matthews' paragraph, because we've learned the hard way that the budget process in Massachusetts goes through many phases, and we have had what we have used in the budget estimates from the state and been burned on that before. So this is just a potential good news at this point. I just want to make sure everybody's clear on that. I know everyone here is, but I mean everyone out there.
I'd say we won't go out and spend the money, but we've already done that, so we're really hoping that this comes through. And just a last piece on the community eligibility program. That's the program that provides school-wide free breakfast and lunch for students. Based on the numbers, it appears that Mason Road School will qualify next year.
So that's good news,
That's
too?
very good news, yeah. So we're pursuing that and have started that application process. Those numbers are subject to change once they actually start doing the formal review, and we may be at 39.8%, meaning we're just short of it. So I'll keep the committee informed
Okay.
as we go forward.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Chair, a question. If Mason Road qualifies for free breakfast and lunch program, how does that impact our budget costs for the food program?
It's tough to say. The revenue, it's expected that the revenue will increase because we'll get, we hope that participation will increase because, hey, it's free, you know, and I think it's good enough, you know, that people won't be saying, no, I don't want that free lunch.
Okay.
Then it's a matter of actually getting the reimbursement from the federal government.
And what's the timing on the reimbursement?
It's a normal reimbursement process, so, you know, about 2 months or so.
Okay.
Subject
They
to
give us the
appropriation.
price.
Subject to appropriation, subject to,
How much do they pay us back? Like, how much does a kid pay for lunch right now?
I honestly don't know what the federal
But
reimbursement
it's
for
not
lunch
the-
is.
It's not the same as
What we charge?
what the kid would pay,
No.
so.
But it's, people have done that, and our experience at the Grow School is that this is a plus for us. So we expect to get at least the same amount of revenue, if not a little bit more.
It'd be a plus if we could get the whole district, right? but.
One school at a time, I think, is
One
the way that
school
this
at
one's
a
gonna
time.
work.
I know
and
Webster,
I-
the whole district.
town, yeah.
The whole
Uh,
town, it's free.
I have
lunch.
heard that the federal government is looking to change the percentage from 40% to 60%.
really?
If that were
Oh.
to go, Mason Road certainly wouldn't qualify. The
No.
district would be very far away from it.
Yeah. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And that brings us up to consideration to appoint Director of Special Education, Mr. Desto.
Thank you, Mrs. O'Coin. So as indicated in my correspondence to the committee on Friday, the members of the search committee, several of whom are here tonight, I see, Bill, you kind of had to be here anyway. Kathy and Amy and Mary are here. Thank you for coming. Mrs. O'Coin, you definitely had to be here. But in any event, the search committee, the members have unanimously voted to recommend Mrs. Lorinda Allen to the school committee as the lone finalist. To give you a little background on this process, we reviewed 19 applicants, from which 5 interviewees were chosen. 1 candidate withdrew before interviews, leaving us with 4 very good candidates, each with significant strengths. But in the end, I'm sorry, I'm not as young as I once was. I have to write things down now. In the end, the search committee felt that Mrs. Allen had the rare combination of courageous leadership ability and the trust and respect of the people in the district. And we have no doubt that this is the right decision for the district. If I may, just on a personal/professional note, I've been a school leader for 18 years, and before that, a teacher leader, a coach of 3 different sports, and so on. Leadership is not something that's new to me, and in all that time, I can't recall working with a person who better exemplified what I believe this business should be about than Mrs. Allen. She loves kids, treats all people with dignity and respect, yet she does what has to be done to move things forward. She's been a godsend for me, for the district over the past 4 years, and I really and truly can't think of anyone better to take this challenge on. And I really, truly believe I'm speaking for the entire search committee when I say what I just said. So we present for the school committee's consideration Mrs. Lorinda Allen to be our next special education director.
So, I'll entertain a motion, and then we can discuss. I'll entertain a motion to approve Mrs. Allen for our SPED director, as recommended by the subcommittee.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
I'd like to say this is a very impressive 100-day plan. I don't know how you're gonna get that all done in 100 days, but it's very, I read the whole thing, it's very impressive. It covers everything you could possibly think of in the
And the
district.
screening committee thought
Yeah,
so.
yeah, it's
too.
very, very impressive.
My only concern is not with Mrs. Allen, but this is more of a compliment to your work as curriculum director, in that we're embarking in project-based learning, and the curriculum director position is going to be critical to that. So it's going to be imperative that we really look for somebody that is highly qualified to take that position.
That's a good point.
Anyone else?
I have just a couple of comments, and I think my comments really kind of take Mrs. Allen's 100-day plan and bring into them some of the things that I previously have probably mentioned in my time on the school committee and my time on the previous CPAC that was running, which is, I know in your opening statement on your plan is regarding student achievement, and the fact that our student achievement for our special education population has not been, it's not been where it certainly could be, and I'm hoping that we're looking at having some measurable movement in that direction. That is something to be able to be proud of. The piece regarding the CPAC is something that I feel very strongly about, having been part of the initial group of parents that established the CPAC back in probably 2007, 2008, that the CPAC really serves as an advisory body to the school committee and and administrators. And it's a question of working together, and that is something that has been disappointing, that it's been missing for so many years. But I'm looking at that role coming into play not only for the benefit of parents within the district for a networking and training opportunity, but actually to develop more positive collaborative relationships within the district. And my end piece really comes down to just speaking as a special education parent. And most important thing, being a special education parent, working with special education parents across central Massachusetts, is we're interested in outcomes. And the outcomes have to be based on the belief that special education students are capable and should be challenged to higher than minimal performance. And I certainly hope that that is something that will be incorporated in the work that you do. There has been a lot that's been left on the table, and there has been a lot of room left for establishing relationships with parents and valuing parents' contributions at the table. So I wish you well, and I hope that you bring those things into the work that you do.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll take a vote. All in favor? Motion unanimous, and
I need to abstain.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought.
Sorry, I
you-
forgot. I need to
Yeah,
abstain.
okay. So we have, we have 6 approve and 1 abstention. And good luck.
I just want to, we never just set the salary on that. Do we have to?
We'll have to go into executive session for that.
Right.
Well, not that one, but.
Sure, I can set that for next meeting
We'll
if you'd
do
like,
that
because
next.
we have until June 30th. She'll be in her
Okay.
current role, and so we have a little time, but yeah, we'll do that.
Okay. Okay, that brings us up to consideration to participate in state-sponsored school choice program 2018, 2019. There will be no vote. We will have a hearing next time, but we'll just discuss it this evening. Mr. Desto.
Thank you, Mrs. O'Coin. I had a colleague when I taught in Worcester who used to always say, hey, Mr. Desto, we'll get it right tomorrow, and everything's going to be next time. But, this, I purposely asked Mrs. O'Coin if we could put this here for discussion only, and there may not need to be a lot of discussion. I believe our next meeting should be the public hearing, if that's okay with the school committee members, and I would like to have a formal recommendation that I can make to the school committee, but I don't want to do that without a little bit of discussion first, because I think that we are close to being on the same page now on this issue, and I think the right course of action for the committee is to vote only to replace the school choice students who graduate this year, because I would like to be able to, remain whole in that department, but that would keep us solid there without increasing the number of students that we currently have. And, it's important to remember that we did experience an unexpectedly high number of students choicing out this year, mostly related to online programs for children who have school anxiety or things like that. And I don't necessarily have any reason to believe that that's going to change in the near future. So I do think that it's important to replace the students who graduate. I think we have to protect against the possibility of another increase coming. And I guess that's pretty much all I have to say. That's my recommendation. I think we're in a position for the first time in many years not to have to really consider increasing class sizes through this mechanism. And I will say once again that in my 18 years in the district, or since we've been doing this, some of the very, very best young people I've known, they come from all over. I mean, Dudley-Charlton's got great kids. We've got great kids everywhere. But still, I think that would be my recommendation, and after some discussion, I can formalize that before the next meeting.
Any discussion on it?
Through the chair, and I guess I'll say it as I do every year. My biggest concern is the students we have going out and what that number is, and if we know and when we know if we will have more or not. That should be part of that factoring in also.
Okay. So you're asking how many students are school choice students are graduating?
No, how many students in the district are
Okay.
are
I got you.
choicing out.
Yep, okay. And we also, just an important point to consider too, is that every year we lose approximately, let me see, it's like 35, so roughly 75 students go to Bay Path every year from Dudley Middle and Charlton Middle. They take the same amount every year. I think that's about the number. And we don't replace them either. So that's a hit with Chapter 70 that we don't talk about nearly enough. And so anyway, that's why I think we should at least replace those graduates.
Which is how many?
33. Yeah, 33.
Any other discussion?
I think we've worked very hard as a committee to keep the class sizes down, and that's taken some work over the years, at least while I've been here. And I think that I would be in agreement with you that we should be looking at the high school if anywhere, but not the lower level classes.
Thank you.
So that's good, because that's our sentiment, I think.
That seemed to be where
Right.
we've all kind of gotten to that point over the years.
Because always was, we thought it was a money thing almost, that was really why we did it.
Right.
Rather than helping those kids, although it had good benefits for us because they were usually pretty,
Yeah.
some of our best students, like you said. But at this point, I don't think we need that money in those lower grades. I think our kids are more important for the class sizes, like you've already said.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Okay, so I guess we all agree we don't need a vote, because
right.
we'll have our hearing next week.
Okay.
But to replace the ones that are
All right, so I'll put that in writing and with more detail about, the financial piece and all that for next meeting. Everything will be next meeting.
It's gonna be a big one.
I know, it's setting up that way, isn't it?
And consideration of Article 13, enrollment of employees' children. And a vote is required, and Mr. Desto will talk to that.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. O'Coin. So, as you all recall, in our most recently negotiated agreement with the teachers' union, with the DCTA, one of the benefits that the teachers have is to enroll their children, if they don't live in the district. And the contract says that they have to notify us by May 1st, so that it's not May 1st yet, but nonetheless, most of us have been there before, and we know how difficult the enrollment of children process can be and how earlier notification is better. So I'm asking tonight for a vote from the school committee to approve the ones that I've received to date, which are as follows. We now have five children that our staff are looking to enroll. There would be a student in grade 1 at Mason Road School, 3 kindergarten students at Charlton Elementary School, and 1 grade 1 student at Charlton Elementary School. And as you see at the bottom, the class sizes are favorable for this. Now, obviously, we know that these numbers could grow as the time goes on, but as we sit here today, I think in the spirit of why this benefit was negotiated in the first place, I recommend approval of all of these enrollments.
Okay, before we do that, on the agenda, it says Article 13, and then on my memo says Article 23. So which is it?
It's 23.
It's 23. And I did say 13 because I was looking at the agenda.
The memo's
So I
correct.
just noticed on the memo, it's 23. So, okay, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the requests that we have in front of us this evening.
So moved.
Discussion?
I just have a question. We also add that to the nurses' contract.
Yes.
Have they contacted you at all?
Not yet.
Are they aware of it, the deadline?
Yes,
Okay.
but no, I have not received any requests yet,
Okay.
but as I said, we still have a couple of weeks before, really one more meeting before we have to finalize that.
Any other discussion,
To
Elaine?
the chair. I'm just questioning the class sizes for kindergarten. In the budget information that I had, that we had average class sizes of 23 and 24 kindergartens, and this memo is reflecting class sizes of 20.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
not that adding 1 or 2 students
Right.
are
Yeah.
going to be a budget buster, but I think I've been concerned about the kindergarten
Yeah.
class sizes, and if we are getting more enrollments over the next couple of weeks,
And we probably will.
that could become a problem.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries, it's unanimous.
Thank you.
Next item, consideration to amend District Policy JQ. This is our second reading, and we're going to adopt it this evening. I'll entertain a motion to waive the reading of Policy JQ.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Motion carries, it's unanimous. Now, I will make a motion to approve the second reading and the adoption of JQ, Policy
So
JQ.
moved. Second.
Any discussion on it? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries, it's unanimous. Consideration to post essential positions 2018-2019 school year. Mr. Desto.
Thank you, Mrs. O'Coin. I know that historically, we've always asked for this around this time for staff members who we know will be retiring, and we do have 6 of those as of now, who we know for sure are going to be retiring, and I would ask for, I think I'm asking for 2 separate votes tonight. I didn't know exactly where to put the new stuff, so I put it under essential positions because I feel it is, or they are. So I think I'm asking for a vote for the 6 retiring positions to be posted as soon as possible to get the best possible candidates. And then, I guess it doesn't matter to me, but I think separately, I'm asking for the 4 new positions to be posted as well.
I think it's just authorizing the superintendent, like we usually
one
do.
vote?
In one vote.
Okay. So if you all are in agreement that those 4 new positions
To
are also
post the
essential,
essential.
then that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to entertain a motion to authorize the superintendent to post the essential positions, and included is the replacement for the retirees also. Is that what you had said?
Yes.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
I just had a question. Would that also include long-term sub positions?
What do you mean?
We have long-term subs in I'm most familiar with CMS, so in the math area for grade 8, there's
Yeah.
a long-term sub. I don't know where else there are long-term subs. Shouldn't we be posting those as well?
We will have to, but we can't until, what's today? The 10th. So the contracted deadline, in most cases, it's for somebody who's on a leave of absence, and it's for April 15th
Okay.
is the deadline for that. So it's very possible I could bring forward some of those for the next meeting. Well, it's like everything else that we're bringing forward. But we do have.
Meeting tonight.
No, I'm glad you brought that up, Mary, because frankly, I hadn't even thought of it. But you're right. If April 15th comes and goes, and we do need to, and people are not coming back for those positions, then yes, we will need to post those too.
Through the chair, how do you have to reach out to the people that are currently on a leave of absence to ask them what their status is?
We generally do that. I don't think it's an obligation that we have, but
Okay.
we almost always do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have an idea of how many people that are currently out on an extended leave of absence?
I don't have any idea of who's thinking of coming back and who's not, other than rumors.
Okay.
No.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries, it's unanimous. Consideration of requests for non-resident enrollment, Policy JF.
Okay, thank you again, Mrs. O'Coin. And, I always wonder, I say thank you, Mrs. O'Coin, an awfully lot, but Mr. Matthew always says thank you very much, and he sounds like Elvis when he says that. Okay, so we received a request recently from the grandparents of a student who are requesting that the student be allowed to complete this school year. It's a kindergarten student, and the grandparents are residents of a neighboring town and have recently been awarded custody of the child until further notice. So they were really, really cool in the way that they reached out and just asked if the child could finish the year. They understand that they're responsible for transportation, and that if the child is still with them next year, they will enroll in their town of residency. So I recommend approval.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
I had one question.
Go ahead, Stephanie.
Do you remember when we talked about the increase in busing because of foster? Wouldn't this be kind of the same thing?
This wouldn't, I don't believe they're considered foster if they're with a blood relative.
Okay.
So in this particular case, transportation would be the responsibility of the family because they got custody. But it's a good question.
Any other
Custody and
discussion?
foster are two different things.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries, it's unanimous.
Thank you.
And so that brings us up to, we added one more article, and it is Mr. Desto, a special announcement.
Thank you, Mrs. O'Coin.
Thank you very much.
Insert laugh track there. I appreciate this, and I appreciate the opportunity. This is, you know, I had said earlier, this was one of the toughest things that I've had to do in my professional life, but it's, as this moment has approached, it's gotten to be almost like one of the toughest things I had to do in my life, period, such as my love for this district. But so let me just simply read, because I'll falter if I don't just read a letter that I sent to the school committee this Friday, and it goes like this. So, dear school committee members, though it is the most difficult decision I've had to make in my career, I'm notifying you of my intention to step down as superintendent of the district at the end of the school year. My 18 years in the district have been the best of my life, and I've grown to love and respect the people in our school community, including everyone in this room. I've considered this job to be a great privilege, and I've tried to serve in a manner befitting the proud tradition of our district. It has become increasingly clear, however, that the personal toll the job takes on my family and me is too heavy. I encourage others to do what makes them happy, and I've come to realize that I need to take my own advice and try to get back to being a healthier person and a better father and husband. Most importantly, I need to be more present for my young son, lest I miss some of the most important and formative years of his life, something for which I know I would never forgive myself. As a result of all this, I've made the very difficult decision to leave Dudley-Charlton and have accepted the position of principal at Auburn Middle School. Thank you for this great opportunity and for the support and guidance that you've provided me over the past 4 years. As I depart, I will do so proud, and it won't be till June 30th, by the way. I'll do so proud of what we've accomplished and grateful to you for your part in keeping the district strong educationally and, for the first time since I can remember, stable financially. A leader with the right skills and at the right point in his or her life will be fortunate to work with you and take the reins of a healthy school district. I look forward to providing any assistance you deem necessary in finding the right person to replace me, and hopefully towards staying involved in the district as a parent and a citizen, and perhaps in some other capacity as well. With gratitude.
Now, just on a light note, we'll have to take this up next time for discussion. But, Mr. Desto, we wish you well, and you will be missed tremendously.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you've done.
Thank you.
I want to say,
Oh, no, come on. Thank you.
I'd like to
Thank
thank
you very
you
much.
personally and for the kids of Dudley and Charlton. When we hired you as the superintendent 4 years ago, I remember saying you knew the district better than most people because you started in Charlton with the new buildings, and you came over here to Dudley, and you put your mark in both of those buildings, but you certainly put your mark on the district. And I know it's because of your family, and you say students first, but family should be first also.
Thank you.
I know this was a tough decision because you spend your whole, people don't realize when you're public figures, you're never really free from the job. And you've got to get a break for yourself and for your family. So while we're sad, we're happy for you if it's the right decision. We hope.
Thank you.
We hope you do well.
I really appreciate the support. Thank you very much.
I stopped to get tissues earlier. I think all of us would probably individually like to thank you for your courageous leadership over the 4 years and making a very courageous step to take care of your family first. I think we all appreciate that, but we'll all be very sad that you have to leave.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's
So,
going to be tough.
so our next meeting dates. School committee meeting, Wednesday, April 25th, and that'll be at the Charlton Middle School at 7 p.m. And Wednesday, May 9th, that'll be at Shepherd Hill at 7 p.m. Now, the subcommittee, the budget subcommittee, when is your next meeting? Do you know?
The 9th at 5 p.m.
Okay.
right before the meeting again.
So, everybody's got that? And we do have a warrant this evening, and if it's not signed, we have, you're welcome to sign it. And future agenda items, budget, strategic planning, 2018-2019 school choice public hearing. Who else would like to add anything?
The circuit breaker and the healthcare numbers that we talked about, right?
I would just suggest that we have a discussion about the direction the committee wants to go with my position.
Okay. And I would like to put on the agenda, remember, we're always discussing lighting at Charlton Middle School, the entrance, and still nothing's done on that, so let's discuss it next time, because it's very dark when you do try to turn in there in the evening, so maybe we can solve that problem. Anyone else?
At least we can see the sign now, Mrs. Oakley. And we do thank the custodians at Charlton Middle School, because I've gone by it more than once at night.
Yeah. I've gone by it a lot. So, anyone else? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, all in favor? And we're adjourned.